The Sodor Railway, Season 4, Episode 5, Pumping Engine. It was one sunny morning on the Sodor Railway. It was 1925, and Stanley had been trying to smooth ride for many years by now. He was always rough riding, but an engine always came for him before any disaster happened. But Stanley was worried that he would always have a derailment. However, the other engines would always tease him about his rough riding. You're going to get some rock from the mountain road, Stanley, and get some rough riding there, said Stuart. Or you're going to fly like me, a falcon, said Falcon, and then you don't have to derail anymore. Maybe you could go to the scrapyard and get some new wheels. Maybe that would help, said Smudger. Or, said Duke. How about you swap your wheels out for nice wings and you can fly like a bird? Will you all be quiet, said Stanley. You're discouraging me, said Stanley. The engines took no notice. Oh, come on, Stanley, said Duke. It's just a little bit of fun. Well, it seems more like harassment, said Stanley. Well, you used to harass us all the time, said Duke. I know, said Stanley, and I'm not going to take any more of this anymore, he said. I'm going to derail myself and get my punishment of being scrapped, and then I won't have to listen to all you four chattering on about me, saying how much I'll derail, said Stanley. Soon Stanley started up and he slowly steamed out of the sheds. We've gone too far this time, said Duke. Too far indeed, said Stuart. When the rest of the engines left the sheds, Stanley came to Arzell station to collect his trucks, and he rumbled out of the station. I'm going to derail myself, he said. And when I do, I'll finally be able to escape old Bud. He raced through the valley and came into Gordon Edwards station where he saw Duke. Number 2, said Duke. Listen here, Bud. I'm not going to talk to you or any of the other engines ever again. And that's because I'm going to be getting scrapped soon, he said, and he raced away. Oh dear, said Duke. Stanley was whirring his wheels, trying to go as fast as he could to derail himself. But no matter how hard he tried, his driver would always slow him down. Come on, driver, he said, let me have a derailment. Sorry, Stanley, said his driver would always say, but we can't. If we do, think of what the good Smirk would do. They can't drive themselves, you know. I don't care about any of this anymore, he said Stanley, and he raced along the tracks. He was soon going well over the speed limit. He was passing stations he shouldn't be passing. Stanley, we're meant to stop at all these stations, said his driver. I don't care, he said. He soon saw some tight curves. That will be good, he said. He whirred his wheels faster than ever. This was the fastest he had ever gone. Slow down, Stanley, said his driver. We're going to derail. Good, said Stanley. That's exactly what I want. He came to the turn, and with one judder, his wheels quickly left the tracks. His driver and fireman had jumped clear, and they came up to Stanley. You are a naughty engine, they said. Well, I don't want to listen to old Bud, Falcon, Stuart and Smudger anymore, he said. Then why wouldn't you tell Jordan Edwards, said his driver. I'm sorry, driver, said Stanley, But see, you never listened to me with how much I used to crash, and you probably still wouldn't now. You do know he still wouldn't listen to you, even though you almost derail every day. That's what I mean, said Stanley. Said his driver. Fireman, get some help, will you? And yes, said the fireman, and he ran off to get help. I better be going with him, Stanley. You are a naughty engine and we'll stay here until we can get help. Your punishment is going to be coming soon. Jordan Edwards told you to have a punishment if you derailed, same with, or had an accident, same with Smudger, and his driver walked away. Said Stanley. At least I'm going to get what I want now. We'll no longer have to listen to old Bud. By the time the driver and fireman got to Duke, it was already afternoon at 5 p.m. Oh, hello, Stanley's driver and fireman, said Duke. Hello, Duke, they said. Stanley's had a derailment. He went too fast on the tight curve. That was leading up to Arsdale Green. You know how tight that curve is? It's very dangerous at high speeds. Ah, yes, said Duke. Can you come and help us? Said Stanley's driver. Yes, but I don't know if I can, said Duke. Why? Said Stanley's fireman. Well, you see, I was put back in my shed, all because when I left Arsdale sheds today, my wheels were having trouble turning. My driver and fireman said that it might be rust or something has caught onto my axles, but I don't know, said Duke. Well, let's try and get you over to Stanley and we'll have a look once we're done, said Stanley's driver. Okay, said Duke. Not without me, said a voice. Jordan Edwards came up. I have to see Stanley if he's derailed. Okay, said Stanley's driver. Duke might take a couple hours to start up though. Oh, don't worry about that, said Duke. Why? Said Stanley's fireman. Well, you see, my driver and fireman forgot to shut off steam, so I'm still in steam. They thought, I don't know what they were thinking, but they could have forgotten. My driver and fireman don't always remember to do it, said Duke. Oh, okay, said Stanley's driver. So they got into Duke. Duke set eyes on the tracks, and with one struggling wheel turn, he steamed out of the shed. The ride was very bumpy. Oh dear, said Duke. All this stopping on the run is not very good for an old engine like me. I've been on this railway for so many years. I have seen it from start to now, he said. He went onto the mountain road, came through the tunnel, and began to sputter and stutter on the mountain road. This was very dangerous, but Stanley's driver and fireman made sure to drive him steadily, and they soon got past the cliffs. Oh, that was close, said Duke. I hope we don't have to get the crane. Yes, well, we can lever him back onto the tracks if you can't pull him back on, said Stanley's driver. Oh, said Duke. Because the crane, well, the Scar Railway's is using it right now. Oh, said Duke. Yeah, it's a little bit. It's had a small derailment apparently on with the trucks. Oh, those trucks, they always are causing trouble, said Duke. However, Duke carries on across the tracks. His old wheels turns but struggles. Are we nearly there yet? Said Duke. I hope we are, said Jordan Edwards. He's only a couple miles away, said Stanley's driver. As Duke steamed across the line, and soon Stanley came into sight. There's Stanley, said Duke. Yes, I know, said the driver. And they shut off steam and applied the brakes. This is a very rough ride, said Duke. It is, but it will have to do. Soon Duke came steaming by the hill, and after some hard rough riding, he eventually arrived at Stanley. Hello, number 2, said Duke. What's old Bud doing here? Said Stanley. Who is old Bud? Said a voice. It was Jordan Edwards. You are a very naughty engine, said Jordan Edwards. Now if Duke can't pull you back onto the tracks, we'll have to lever you back on, which will probably be quite hard for how far away from the tracks you are. I hope you have learned your lesson to not be reckless now, said Jordan Edwards. Yes, sir, said Stanley. He was a little bit worried that he wouldn't get scrapped, but overall he was happy that he had derailed, and that he was going to get a punishment. That evening, Jordan Edwards grouped all the engines, some controllers, and a huge crowd of people from towns all over the Sodor came, all to see what would happen to Stanley. Stanley, said Jordan Edwards, you have been a very naughty engine recently. We're trying to purposely derail yourself and make our trains late. Now we have got no goods for the people today. Well, we have, but their goods arrived late, and they are not happy about it. Yes, we're not happy, said the people from that town. The people from Duke's old village are also not very happy for how their goods have not even been delivered yet. And it was all because of your carelessness and recklessness, Stanley. And I was wanting to get away from these pieces of scrap iron, said Stanley. Like Duke, Atlas, Alfred and Jason are just some pieces of scrap on working wheels, said Stanley. But that does not give you the right to actually insult these engines, said Jordan Edwards. I'm sure Gordon Edwards would have ended up thinking on doing this to you if you carried it on, said Jordan Edwards. And what is it? Said Stanley. I'm going to take away your wheels, your running board, your cab, one of your domes, and your funnel with your side tanks, said Jordan Edwards. And what are you going to do there? I'm going to take you away from your rails, and you're going to replace my wheels. How can I work without my wheels? Said Stanley. Am I going to be a bus or road vehicle? No. And I'll give you a new funnel, but you'll be put at the back of the shed and be made to pump power into the shed. You'll be a pumping engine from now on and forever, said Jordan Edwards. Stanley and the rest of the engines were terrified. A pumping engine, said Jason. That is not even fair. What has he done to deserve to be a pumping engine? Said Jason. I guess he may have decided to play a trick on Falcon and Stewart just for payback. But that does not mean he should be a pumping engine, said Atlas. Well, I do agree with Jordan Edwards. I think a pumping engine might be a bit too much, said Alfred. I think it's enough for Stanley, said Falcon. Same here, said Smudger. Yes, but you mine engines, you only really pull the sleigh trains, so you have not seen much of what Stanley does, said Stewart. Yes, and what you have seen from Stanley is not enough to prove to you how much of a reckless and bad engine he is, said Duke. I'm sorry, sir, I was only trying to derail myself to get myself scrapped. Well, I'm not going to scrap you, but this is worse than scrap, said Jordan Edwards, and he walked away, leaving the engines and everyone else in horror. The manager did just what exactly he said. Stanley now sits in one place, sitting where he'll be forever. But Stewart and Falcon couldn't help but laughing, which did make Stanley even sadder. Well, you did have it coming, said Duke. Maybe if you weren't so reckless and didn't lie to us about your gauge, this wouldn't have happened, said Duke. But it was my gauge, said Stanley. Hey, Stanley, said Stewart. What is it, Stewart, said Stanley. At least you're still pumping something that is in your pistons. What is it, Stewart, said Duke. Yeah, what is it? Tell us, said Falcon. You're pumping energy into the sheds, said Stewart. The three engines laughed, but Stanley just grumbled. I would shunt you three off the rails if I could, said Stanley. Laughed Smudger as he steamed in. But after all that Stanley's been through on derailments, I think he deserved it, don't you?